Howdy. Today we're looking at the Latron Incarnon. I know this is a very popular weapon that most people already know everything about, but I wanted to look at it after Jade Shadows and some different options for it. Because there are a few different things we can do with it now that are actually worth doing instead of just how people normally would build a weapon. And you'll see what I mean here in a second. So one of the first things that makes a huge difference is the full auto setting. So if you go into your options now, go to accessibility. For keyboard and mouse, it is right here. Fire manual trigger weapons continuously, and controller, it's right down here. Same thing. That basically makes it so that you can fire a semi-automatic weapon in full auto mode. Now, it does have a cap, though. All semi-auto weapons, or at least to my knowledge, right, like it should be all of them, have a fire rate cap of 10. Which is why if I were to go to all of these hang on a second, they all have builds on them already. Here, add prime shred goes up to 6. If I then add in, where is Vile Acceleration? It's at 10, but then if I add in speed trigger, it's still at 10. If I add in vigilante fervor, it's still at 10. It caps out. Now, some weapons, it won't visually cap out, but it does still cap out at 10, right? So if the weapon shows it going higher than 10, it doesn't. It's still getting capped out. So keep that in mind. It's kind of a little buggy in the UI system, but it's not too bad most of the time. But yeah, you can just hold down the trigger and it shoots very fast, which is very, very nice for the weapon. So the Incarnon for Latron, most people should already know, it shoots exploding bouncy balls, basically. You got a few different things you can choose from. Definitely always go with riddled target for extra multi-shots. I always go with negative zoom because it's the most comfortable, though negative weapon recoil is not worthless. And the last one is up to you. You can either go increase base crit chance and more crit multiplier, or you can go for flensing spikes to strip enemy armor just by applying puncture procs. If you have no source of armor strip in your build otherwise, go with flensing spikes. If you have armor strip in your build, go with critical parallel. So it really depends on what you have going on. So for me specifically though, right now I think I'll probably show with flensing spikes first. Now the things that changed with Jade Shadows would be that now we have blast damage, which is insane. And this weapon already has really good status chance, which means we can make even more explosions on the exploding bouncy balls. And Blast can be paired with Toxin. Toxin isn't insane on its own, but it means we can bypass armor, so it's good against Corpus. And it means we can run Primary Blight instead of running something like, I don't know, Merciless. Because you don't want Cold, so Frostbite's annoying unless you run a companion with that, but that's still annoying. Dexterity means we have to kill stuff with our melee. Deadhead means headshot kills, which is not happening with this weapon. Not consistently, at least. But Primary Blight is nice because we don't have to get kills. I hate Merciless because it takes so long to get all the kills. Or, like, not long to get all the kills. It takes so little time for it to run out. Keeping the stacks up is really annoying, especially in a mission like Void Cascade or anything where you're running around a lot. But Primary Blight builds up just by applying a Toxin effect from your weapon. And it gives crit damage and multi-shot, which is pretty snazzy. So that's why we're running this here. We have base damage from Amalgam Serration, crit chance from Critical Delay, Vile Acceleration to give us more fire rates to make use of the fact that we can use it full auto now, Vital Sense for crit damage, Rhyme Rounds, Thermite Rounds for blast, Malignant Force for toxin, Galvanized Chamber for multi-shot. I know some people like Galvanized Aptitude on the weapon because Galvanized Aptitude is multiplicative on this weapon in the Incarnon form. There's a problem with that though. It only applies to the direct hit, not the AoE. So the direct hit does less than 1/3 of your damage. So you're getting a multiplicative damage buff to less than 1/3 of your damage. And most of the time, you're not even going to get direct hits. The explosions are what's going to hit stuff usually. It's pretty nice because it only has 4 meters of explosion, but only 20% fall off. So you're getting full damage in that explosion mode, or near full damage in the explosion most of the time. In the Exilus, I usually run either Aero Periphery because it's kind of nice and I like to use this when playing Zephyr, or Stabilizer to help fix the recoil because the weapon does have pretty intense recoil when not in the Incarnon form when it shoots so fast. So having Stabilizer, so you can see it helps a lot. In case you're interested, this is the Ember fashion. I'm recording this after I record my Ember video, so I know the heirloom looks way better, but I really like this look too that I have on her, and I just wanted to at least show it off in something. And if we go here, you can see that nothing we have equipped is affecting our damage because we will not be casting abilities. We have no companion equipped, and we're not using we're not doing anything in our focus school to affect our damage. So let us go ahead and pause the AI, simulate level 120 corrupted steel path heavy gunners. So first we're gonna just shoot him a bunch, not in the Incarnon form, so you can see what it does without the Incarnon. You can see it stripped his armor pretty decently. Now, if we switch to the Incarnon, we are still going to need to build up our stacks and stuff, but it's obviously doing some pretty hefty damage as is. And now we do have all of our stacks built up. Even in its normal fire mode, this thing is more than capable of killing enemies, even all the way up to level cap. Like, this thing does damage. And then obviously in its Incarnon form, it's just going to pulverize enemies. It does not apply puncture as much as I would like for what I have on it, right, if I'm stripping armor with the puncture. Although if you spam firing it, it will start to armor strip enough. Especially if you're in a tight corridor and it starts bouncing off of everything and hitting all of the enemies multiple times. It is easily going to kill all of these enemies. So let's come back over here. I want to show the same build, but with the different evolution. So if you want to go with the extra crit instead, now we have higher crit chance and higher crit damage. We're still going to have to build up stacks to some degree if we want full damage. You can see, wait, I gotta reload. Even before we have all of our stacks built up, it can do some damage, but not nearly as much when we can't strip the enemy's armor. The problem is that these guys have 90% damage reduction with their armor, so even like 10% damage reduction on these guys would nearly double our damage. So it's obviously doing worse than the other build because we have no armor strip here. But this is going to be a much better build if you are using armor strip on your Warframe or from other sources in general. So let's say we kill these guys and then I strip half their armor, no immolation, and the heat proc doesn't do shit for damage. So we're only going to strip half of their armor, okay? Well, I guess it's technically more than half. It ends up being 75% because of the heat proc and how that works. But you know what I mean. Not even a full armor strip. And we still have to build primary blight back up, although it builds up pretty fast. You can see that now it's gonna easily kill stuff as I proceed to like miss 5 shots in a row. What, did you see that? Did you guys? Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a ball like glitch out, bouncing off itself on the floor. That was strange but funny. It's a very interesting weapon. Now, something else that you can do, it's not nearly as effective as other weapons, but it is pretty funny to do the magnetized bubble with this as well. Because you can strip enemy armor with mag. Oh wait, not with this specific build though. Whoops, I forgot. I have the wrong thing on. There we go. Get this. Come over here. Yee this guy. Armor strip them. Pull them in with that. I mean, it's not and then look at that. They just it's really, really funny to me. Obviously, there's a lot of different weapons that can be insane like that with mag, but this is just another one of said weapons. And it's really, really funny seeing all of those just circle around. Look at that, dude. It looks like a freaking particle collider. It's beautiful. Just absolute death in the middle. So if you want like full damage with this thing and you go for the crit, and mag is perfect because you get the death bubble, and then look, it sent them everywhere. Oh my god. Oh, actually, while I'm on it, something that you can do with Ember, with the, or not Ember, mag, that you can also do with any sort of projectile weapon like that, usually especially like a round one. Here, let me show you. This also works with Grimoire. It's really funny with Grimoire, especially because it has infinite ammo. So first we're going to build up this. pull in all of the enemies. You want them to all die. But then, just like before, you can just drain all of your ammo into it. But if you have the augment on, which is what I just went and did, you can manually destroy the bubble. So you just shoot everything in and then you let it explode and it makes a giant ass explosion, sending the balls to bounce everywhere and kill everything. It's just really funny. And I don't know, I guess that seemed like it was worth putting in the video to show you if you wanted to try that out. It's not extremely practical in mission depending on what you're doing, but on like a survival mission, or not survival, sorry, defense, and you do it on the defense objective, the enemy dies, and then you build up the big explosion like on Hydra, and then you let the balls loose everywhere. It's really, really funny. That's pretty much it for the weapon. I think Blast, especially Blast Toxin with this build, is a better option than if you were to run like Hunter Munitions now, especially because of the changes to armor and health. So enemies on the high end, enemies have like, I think roughly a little over triple the HP, meaning slash procs aren't going to be nearly as effective. It will still kill stuff just fine, don't get me wrong. It will still easily murder stuff, but it's not going to be nearly as good as before. I guess I could also show that real quick. You know what? Yeah, sure. We'll go ahead and show that as well. So we'll put on this, and because we have slash which goes through armor, we just want to stick with this for the extra crit. And you can see nothing is affecting our damage from our Warframe as long as we cast no abilities. I don't know why I picked up energy. I don't even need it here. So we shoot this guy. You can see that even without stacks built up in the normal form, it's still going to kill stuff. Yeah, the damage is more than fine. But as you start to go up in enemy levels and enemy HP scales harder now, or comparatively speaking to armor, it's gonna start struggling a little more. It will, again, still will kill stuff just fine, but I think the blast would be better because you get more AoE, and armor strip is pretty easy to get right now. So I would much rather just go with the blast toxin, especially because then I get the benefits of not having to kill stuff to build up my arcane, which is just a very, very convenient thing to have. But at the end of the day, it's really up to you and whatever you decide to do. That's going to do it for the Latron post Jade Shadows video. If you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe. Adios.